Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Dan Cordelicchio. Welcome back. We are here. Destination Health Podcast. We took a little break, but we're back. And we're starting 2022 with a good friend, and we're rocking. And there was one person I thought of, and that's Wendy Fortino, to come back onto the show. Second time on the show, ready to go, ready to discuss a lot of interesting stuff. She has a master's degree in exercise physiology, undergraduate degrees in kinesiology and art, exercise physiologist, health and fitness specialist, personal trainer, earned her IFBB Pro card in, what was it, 2011, if I'm not mistaken? Mm-hmm. How many Olympias? Is it 7 now?
5.
6, 5? Oh my God, 5. I thought it was like 20. No, you're not.
Just 5.
And 2017 IFBB St. Louis Pro Figure Champion. Welcome back, Wendy. How are you today? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's all good. So let's get right into it. The Arnold.
Yes.
You were one of the 10 selected. Congratulations. That was exciting. Tell us about that experience to be one of the 10 selected.
Well, first I'll say this is our second interview. And I think our first interview was before I won my second ever pro show. So
yes, it was.
To my Dan resume.
Tell me. All right, let's go back to that show. When was that show? Was that that was just pre-COVID, wasn't it?
Right before. Well, it was right after COVID, actually. And
okay,
there were so few and far between shows going on, and it was right before 2021. And I, which it's been that long since we've done our interview, I think.
And, it's been a while. It's been like a year and a half. We have to have it like every 6 months or something like that, I think.
I know. Keep it up.
Yeah.
I don't say that. I would say that to you. I mean, like, we need to keep it up.
Absolutely.
But it was the upper Midwest, and Fargo, North Dakota was, I guess taking a little bit more risks during that time. But, we were obviously really cautious and whatnot, but we really wanted an opportunity to be able to try to qualify for the 2021 Olympia, thinking that show was going to qualify me for the 2021 Olympia. However, it turned out that when I got there, I discovered that the show was actually a pre-qualifier for the 2021, or I was trying to qualify for the 2020 because it was right before the 2020 Olympia. Right. And it turned out it was actually just a little bit after the cutoff, that show, and it was going to qualify me for 2021. Right. So I way early qualified for 2021 Olympia back then because I won that show. And then I just, for the first time in a long time, I enjoyed all the seasons and I kept training, but I wasn't competing. I was like, I'm just going to do the Olympia because I've never done that before. Right. And take advantage of a little bit more of a downtime. And it was a fun year. I enjoyed, all the seasons a little bit more than normal because I normally compete all year. Because
you're competing all year long. How was that rest then for you? Was it good?
It was good. I got a little antsy, and I can't do that very often. Probably like every couple of years or so, I'll do some kind of like, time off here. But until if I stop improving, then obviously I'm going to be done competing. I'm not gonna like, be like long in the tooth going, if I like it, as long as I'm improving, I want to keep going, I needed the break, but I think what I'm going to do this year is compete in more big shows and, just be out there a little bit more. But I did. So I was pre-qualified, spent all year kind of having downtime. Then I competed in the Olympia, and I took 14th at the Olympia, which is not what I wanted, but it was placing, and I was happy about that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely.
And then I did a show right after that, since I was still in shape, and there was a show close to where I live. It was Titans Pro, and there were 4 of us that had just come off the Olympia stage that were all competing in that show. And we all 4 were like in the first call out. And it was stiff, and I ended up taking 3rd at that show. Awesome. So that was like my first show of 2022 season, I guess you could say. But now I was not sure what they were going to do with the Arnold. I don't know how they pick and choose, but I think it's their show where they recalibrate like the standard of the division. So they hand select people that they want to kind of represent the division, 10 people is like the least amount of people they've ever invited. And so it was a shocker to see my name on the list, but I was excited.
What is it? Do you get the list? Is it, what is it? I mean, do you get a letter in the mail or what is that?
I do, but after everybody already sees the list. So when the list is posted, everybody sees it together. So there are many people who saw it before I did. And when I started getting texts like, oh my God, congratulations. I was like, what happened? What did I do? I didn't even do anything. I just woke up and I'm getting texts like emails, messages. Oh my gosh, congratulations, Wendy. I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes. What is going on right now? This is crazy. And so I looked and I saw that the list, I saw my name and my jaw dropped. Number one, because my name was on the list. Number two, because there were only 10 people on the list and I was one of them. And I'm thinking, whoa.
Amazing. Congratulations. That is an accomplishment. What was going through your mind when you saw your name on there?
Well, and then really fast. And then after that, I got an official invite.
You got the official thing, right?
Then I got all of the,
right.
And then I got the red carpet.
You got the red carpet treatment because you were going to the Arnold, right?
This will be my second one, and the first one was insane. I mean, the way they take care of the athletes, and you feel like, God, it's like I get to fake being a movie star for like one day.
You got the red carpet. They're just whatever you want, and they're just there giving whatever it is you need.
But what I was thinking was I thought they made a mistake. No.
I mean, did you start calling up some friends and say, is this real? Is this a mistake? Is somebody goofing around with me? Right?
Yeah. Well, I was babysitting the puppy that we just got, and my husband had gone for his run. And so I called him, or I FaceTimed him, and I was like, you're not going to believe this. And he was like, what? I was like, I'm on the Arnold list and there's only 10 people. And then we both kind of he didn't start crying. I started crying and I could tell he was tearing up.
He was tearing up. I mean, it's a proud wife moment.
Doesn't really cry, but he was holding back.
He was trying to be stoic, but you can see that there were little tears coming out. So, And
I said, guess what? I'm going to get to do my routine at finals. I'll be top 10.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Where did you place?
At the Olympia, I was 14th, so I was right outside of being able to do my routine at finals. They only let the top 10 come back, so it was kind of like, Who
were your biggest competitors out of the 10?
All of them.
All of them. If you can choose one, who is that?
Oh my gosh, one. Oh my God, they're all so amazing. I can't even. I guess at any big pro show, I could see myself being like, compared toe to toe with any one of them, because it's not even normal to have a concentration like this at one show. It's just like all the girls that like always win pro shows, like all in one show together, right. And they're never competing in a pro show all at once. Yeah, it's like an insane group of women. I mean, it's on another level. With that level, it really comes down to, everyone's doing their homework. Everyone shows up on point. Like there's not going to be one girl who hasn't thought of every single T, every single I. I mean, it is like that perfection level of like not one mistake is made group of people. Sure. But I will say the thing that separates everyone is obviously that's where you get into like the genetics, right? I mean, sure. You just have girls on that stage who have the most insane structures that it becomes a challenge to go toe to toe with some of them. Like for me, I would say I'm not like genetically the most gifted, but I think that for me, I'm just very, my kinesthetic awareness is just really good. And I think I'm like a really good master of training. And as an artist, I know how to create my body. And there are some people that are so genetically gifted that they don't necessarily know how to train as well, but because their body is naturally a certain way, they still edge me out. But I work it as hard as I can at what I'm good at. And then I'm hoping that, And then at some point, like I sometimes get lucky, and then it's just at that level, where
Right.
I can't say that anyone is like, we have
Everybody's
Miss Olympia
everybody's a pro,
competing.
everybody's a professional
It's
at
so
that
crazy.
point.
It's just such a crazy level. I mean, and Sid Gillen, who hasn't competed in the figure international for a few years now, she is a 4-time Miss Olympia now. She just won her 4th title, and she decided to apply for the Arnold this year. So that's gonna mix things up pretty crazy. She's gonna be there.
Absolutely.
Jessica Padilla, who's just like come off of like a 3 or 4 winning streak. She just is, after the Olympia, I think she was competing her way into her, like, she got 4th place at the Olympia, and maybe that made her mad because she wanted to win the Olympia, and she's like one of the top pros. And then she was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna win every pro show from now until the Arnold.
Right.
And she kept getting better and better. So she's coming in pretty hot. And Natalia Soltero has won the last 2 figure internationals at the Arnold, and she's going to be competing. She, her and Sid Gillen will be there, and then it's just got everyone. I could tell you a story about how they won 1 million shows and how they.
And you're right there with them. So what's the training like for this? What are anything different? What was it? What did you do? What was that mindset that you had? I guess there's 2 questions to this.
Yeah.
The training and the mindset. What was the training like? What did you do differently? Whether it was nutritionally, whether it was working out, what was that in your?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying I made a mistake, but I will say after I won the Upper Midwest, I actually went into the Olympia thinking, okay, like that physique, I believe can battle it out for one of the top spots at the Olympia. So my goal was to just basically mimic that physique. I didn't want to do anything crazy. I didn't want to gain a bunch of muscle or do anything wild with my body because I thought I'm there. I just need to get myself back to there.
Right.
And that's my winning body, right? But then, sorry, my puppies. What is it?
That's okay. You can bring them on too if you want.
He wants to be around me all the time.
It's okay. You can look at that. You can bring
cute
it on because my puppy's scratching at the door right now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, Rocky, you gotta go back to Daddy.
Rocky?
Yeah.
That's my dog, Rocky.
No.
Yes, it is.
Shut up. Oh
yes,
my
it is Rocky. I took one look at it and I said, Rocky. My wife said, well, you're Italian American. Of course you're going to think of Rocky. And I said, what do you want me to say? Go Adrian? So I don't know.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Well, that's one thing we have in common.
There you go.
But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted myself. So
that's okay.
So I was just saying that like my goal was to go into the Olympia with that physique because I thought that was my winning physique, and I'm gonna be able to place in the top with that physique. I hadn't been competing all season, and I actually hadn't realized. I realized I had not been in the Olympia for 2 years in a row. My last Olympia before that was 2018. So I actually hadn't been on stage with a lot of these girls in a while. And so it was interesting because once I got on stage with them, I was able to see and made me realize why I probably need to compete more often because that just really helped me see what exactly I needed to work on. And it doesn't seem like it because I placed 14th at the Olympia, but I really do feel like I can be up there. And I now know what I need to do. And I just need to put on a little bit more muscle, which I'm,
that was my next question. What is the next step? What do you need to do?
Yeah. So I'm a total mesomorph. Like I look at a weight and like my muscle like blows up, which I used to hate when I was younger, but now I'm obviously embracing it. And it's weird. You're not going to believe this, but when I first started competing in 2008, every time I competed, like I won the overall, my first 4 shows, they were all like the NPC. And then it took me 3 years to get my pro card. But every show I went to, the judges would say, less muscle, tone it down, less muscle. So there was like a good year or so where I almost didn't do weights at all. And I was just doing cardio because I was trying to tone down my muscle. And it was crazy because it was like, I had from a runner to a bodybuilder, it felt like it just happened like that, that wouldn't be the case now, but that was back in the day when they were rewarding a lot less muscle, And then so over the years, I have taken now 13 years to get to where I'm at now.
Mhm.
So the muscle I've built has taken me that long. And I've kind of been very conservative in building muscle over the years because I've been kind of worried about building my muscle too
Mhm.
thick in certain areas that could throw off my shape, and
Mhm.
making sure I master certain muscle groups before I train them hard so that
Mhm.
I don't develop something I don't want to develop. It's been a really big process. And
Right.
now I'm gonna like use that mastery and build muscle where I need to build, and I'm confident that my body's gonna cooperate. So,
What did you feel like your weaknesses was when you're on stage?
well, my biggest weakness, also my strength. So my lower body is a strength because I just have been an athlete my whole life.
Mhm.
But it tends to be a weakness with my conditioning. You know, a
Mhm.
lot of those girls, they have these crazy sharp glutes, and
Mhm.
it's crazy because that used to not be rewarded, but like now, it's like a lot of girls have these crazy sharp glutes and legs and tie-ins, and you see muscles popping, and
Right.
it's as recent as like 2015. I remember, talking to Sandy, and she was like, we don't want to see separation in the quads. Like they specifically did not want to see
Really?
separation. Yeah. Yeah. So they weren't rewarding that. If girls had separation in the quads, they were like, because they were trying to have delineations between when they added the women's physique division, they wanted to like
Right.
they were trying to separate divisions,
Right.
and over time, as it goes, people start pushing the envelope, and one thing leads to another, and you
Right.
can't really hold people back too much for too long. And it just, quad, definitions start coming out. And now it's kind of evolved into this. Now they want to see separation in the quads. And so along with that, the glutes, they want to be really tight. And
Mhm.
I like the way that my glutes look in terms
Mhm.
of, I like the flow of them. It's like
Mhm.
what I want to look like, but I need to just dig a little deeper and sharpen them
Right.
out a little bit. And that I think will really set my whole physique off in terms of being competitive. Maybe it won't be like my favorite physique, which it only has to last a certain period of time. It may not be the physique that I feel like this is like my sexiest body in the world, but I'm here to compete.
Yeah, you're there. You're there to compete. You're not. Yeah. 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 I get it.
Vessel. It's a vessel of my artwork.
Correct. Talking about artwork. Talk about stage presence. What is your stage presence? What's going through your mind? I've always wanted to ask that question. What's
Yeah.
going through your mind when you're on stage?
Yeah, this is what my passion is. My bread and butter is teaching women about like presentation, and my product polished presentation is like really focuses on that. And I'm glad you said presentation, because it's
Mhm.
not just posing, it's not just poses. You can go on YouTube and learn poses, but presentation is about the whole vibe, right? It's
It's the
like
whole thing, right?
mastering that look that makes you feel good. Some girls, they go to like a makeup artist or a hair artist, and they just trust, and they get a look that maybe they don't feel the best in.
Mhm.
And they feel like, oh, that's what I have to do because this is what the professional did to me. And I'm really like, when I teach people about this, it's like everyone has their own vibe. Everyone
Mhm.
has their way that they express joy. And for me, I realize I need to smile a lot because that helps me relax. That's my personality. But some people, they may have more of like a saucy kind of vibe. They don't maybe
Right.
smile a lot to express their joy.
But
So
they
those,
have that, swagger, if you will, or
right.
what they think, right?
And if someone like that tried bouncing on stage smiling, it would look awkward and funky, and they feel like they have to smile, and then it doesn't look natural. And so it's interesting because this is what I teach, this is what I preach, this is what I always talk about. But for some reason, Olympia morning had me catching some saucy vibes, and I just decided I was feeling all, a little bit more like smoky and smoldery. I don't
Yeah.
know what got into me. I think it was the way I did my makeup. I was just feeling it.
Mhm.
And I went on stage and I was not totally myself, which is like, when I smile, like my whole body relaxes, and I feel so much more flowy and so much more myself.
You're having fun when you're smiling. That's
Yes.
like your personality, right?
Yes.
It's like you're having fun. That's what gets you to have fun on
Yes,
stage.
and that's what I teach people. But for some reason, Olympia, like I walked on that stage and I don't know, I was feeling it, but it was weird because I was kind of stumbly and I didn't feel like I caught my balance very well in certain parts that I normally do. And I think that that's what it was. I was actually like being someone I'm not totally. And it's crazy because this is what I always
Right.
teach people. But when I really nail it, what it is, and then a week later when I competed, I nailed it because I figured this out and I'm like, you know what, Wendy, stop trying to be fancy. And then the next weekend I was, myself and I felt so much better. And it was a total realization that this is what helps me is being totally me. You've got to be authentic. And that is what makes you have to feel yourself like the most beautiful that you feel. That's what matters. If something feels awkward that you're doing, you need to either change it or work on it till it feels
Yeah,
natural.
because when you're on stage, you're just going to be off and you're not going to be at your best that day. So
Totally.
talk to me about mindset, because it seems like you're into this and it's something that's cerebral. You're thinking about it and you're teaching this and you're getting, your clients to give and perform at their best. What is your mindset when you're going into a show like an Olympia or an Arnold? It's, you have to up your game somehow, right? So what is that mindset?
Yeah. There's a next level that your mind has to switch to.
Hmm.
There's a motivational factor because you're going to a show that everyone is going to be paying attention to. There's a next level of pressure that you apply to yourself.
Hmm.
It's not like you don't apply pressure to yourself when you do a regular pro show or
Hmm.
even like if you're going to like a national show and you haven't got your pro card yet or whatever. Every show there's a level of pressure because you want to be your
Hmm.
best, but there's this like added like weight of pressure when you know that everyone is like going to have their eyes glued to this
Hmm.
every figure competitor, maybe not every competitor because everyone kind of focuses on what their
Hmm.
avenue of choice is. Like a girl who's like really into wellness may not like necessarily care about how the figure girls do at the figure
Hmm.
international. Maybe they do, I don't know, but everyone, because there's so many divisions, everyone kind of like focuses on their people, right?
Right.
Focuses on their division. But everyone who does figures, like I want to see what the judges want to do at the Arnold because that's kind of the calibration of the year. Like this is what the judges are going to want to go for, right?
Right.
That I feel that, and it really keeps me accountable. Just knowing what the weight of that pressure and how
Hmm.
important it is and everything. I just feel like this is what I've worked so hard to be able to
Hmm.
have this platform, to be able to have this opportunity, and I have to make it happen. Um, and the nerves though, they don't just like go away when
Hmm.
you they actually get worse. I hate to say it to people. People think they're gonna compete so many times and then like suddenly they're not gonna be nervous.
Hmm.
But it's like channeling the nerves and learning how to combat them and learning how to navigate them,
Hmm.
I think is where the key lies.
Hmm.
That's kind of, I don't, did I answer your question? I'm sorry.
No, you did. You're talking about the mindset and how you have to up your game when it comes to a particular show, and it's not only if you're on Arnold or the Olympia, it's just every show that you're doing. Do you find when you have your clients, do you find that you have to give them a certain mindset or you have to really work on that because they're just not ready? Is that something that
Yeah,
happens when you're in your business?
all the time. I mean, we've had people who were like pro level bodies. Just we had one girl who she's a pro now, but I mean, the first time she went on stage, she was telling us, me and my husband, you don't understand. Like when I get nervous, I get super shaky. I can't handle it. I
You
need to.
fall apart, right?
And I was thinking, oh, well, we all go through that. I totally understand, like
Right.
giving for this, the basic things that I do, like take a deep breath, look at the lights, look out, remind yourself of all the affirmations, remind yourself that you love to be here, take a deep, just all the things that I do, like
You
when
do a
I
lot
get,
of affirmations. You do the journaling to get your
yes,
mind ready
it
to,
helps.
for that.
and I'm there physically. I know I'm going to be there too for a lot of times. And so I'm like, I'll be there to make sure. But I did not realize how much she meant that she shakes. I mean, she went on stage and
Mhm.
she was like not able to stop shaking, you know?
Mhm.
And so then I was like, wow, like I really need to take you seriously. You really do
Right.
shake. You know? So it really hits people. Some people have an uncontrollable, you know, mechanism that kind of comes out, and you have to do things sometimes that don't make sense, or I wouldn't really recommend for everybody. Like, I mean, it's crazy as a sound, like taking, for some great, like very select few, taking like a shot of alcohol just to, it's that, and then see, when people hear that they go, oh, you know, that's the secret because this girl's so good, right? And then
Right.
they see her doing that and they think, oh, that's the secret to look like that, right? No, it's like, it's actually probably not in her best interest to do that, but she can't not shake otherwise, right?
Mhm.
And we have to get her to stop shaking, and we have to figure this out. So it's you know, it's interesting. Everybody handles it. It has their own, the uncontrollable
Mhm.
part of it is what we have to figure out, you know, with tools in our shed, and figure out how we're going to help
Absolutely.
that. But the controllable part is what I really think, you know, can be negated with the affirmations and like the deep breaths and the,
Mhm.
you know, it's like a
Whether
lot
it's
of,
box breathing or something like that.
yeah, well, people love the training and like all the fantasy of what is going to happen
Mhm.
on stage. And then a lot of people tell me, I love like the training, I love this, I love that. But the part I hate is like, you know, being on stage. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm like, do you really want to be doing this? but
You need to have that stage presentation up there.
But then I realized that a lot of people do it anyway because they see it as a challenge that they want to overcome.
Mhm.
And if they can
Mhm.
overcome this fear of like the stage, it will somehow make them feel like they've conquered something. And I get that, right?
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's handle it like that then. You know, let's go into this like you have something that, you know, if you conquer this, it's something you've been, you know, trying to conquer for so long, and this is the time. This is when we're going to do that.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, everybody is different, but usually when somebody hates the stage and they're still doing it, and I'm like, why are you doing it then? It's usually like I am talking to them and I'm realized that, you know, this is a fear that people want to
Mhm.
overcome. Being in
Mhm.
a bikini on a stage is
Sure.
something that a lot of women feel like would make them feel like I could take that next step in my life of like being confident in myself. If I could do that, I'm confident to do, you
Because
know,
you're really being judged on the way you look.
right. Yeah.
Every inch of your body is being judged, and it's being criticized, or they're
Right.
saying, oh, it's nice, or no, it's not so nice. You know, your glutes are this,
Right.
your, you know, your hams, you know, your hammies are this, your shoulders, you need to work on your shoulders are too big, right?
Yeah. You just brought up another kind of interesting point of the industry, which is, I told you, you know, when I train for a show, this is my vessel of artistry.
Mhm.
And my confidence is like
I love
very
that. Yeah.
independent of what I'm creating for the stage.
Mhm.
If you compete in this, in I, you know, I know body people don't call bodybuilding a sport, but I'll call it a sport for the sake of what we're talking about.
Mhm.
And it's like when you compete in anything, you know, it's like you're in a sport that is aesthetics based anyway, right?
Mhm.
You, if you're tying your self-worth to how you finish or how your body looks on
Mhm.
stage, well then it's probably honestly not a healthy sport to be
Mhm.
participating in,
Mhm.
because that you're not, you know, you could go down a really bad hole, and a lot of that is happening right now, you know, body dysmorphia. People are feeling like they've
Mhm.
got to do
Mhm.
all kinds of weird things because they're not feeling confident. And if that is resting on the
Mhm.
performance of your, you know, your competition, it's probably not for you, you know.
Right.
I know that sounds wrong, but if you can train yourself to separate your confidence
Mhm.
from, you know, this like thing that you want to conquer,
Mhm.
you know, you're going to be able to combine the two in the best kind of way. Your, you know, the hard work you put into it
Right.
and your ability to look at what you're creating as your
Yeah, that's
vessel.
awesome.
You're then, you know, once you achieve, which however you place is an achievement, if you get your body to its best and then the cards lay where they do, then you're winning, right? And then you
Mhm.
can step away from that if you want to keep going. Awesome. If you don't, you can step away from that and say, you know what, I conquered that, and I still love myself. I'm still confident, which you should
Mhm.
feel going into any.
Well, you have to feel that way, right?
They can't lie. They can't
Right.
coexist in the worst of ways.
Now, this leads me into my next question, because you know me, I don't ask about macros and micros. I mean, that's, we may get into that at one point in a podcast. What's your interaction with the crowd? What's your relationship with the crowd when you're up there?
My interaction with the crowd.
Yeah, what's going through your mind? You got people out there. Don't
My
even forget about the judges. Well, that's the next question. The crowd that's out there. What's your relationship with them? What's going through your mind?
honestly,
Yeah,
first I'm looking for my husband. Because I want
always.
him to tell me how I am doing, like usually like, whatever.
So you're looking for your husband, and he's going like this, and
Right, right. Or like,
hopefully he doesn't go like this, then, Wendy, right?
yeah, no, and no, he would, or he'll be like, turn more this way, turn more this way. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Okay. But and then on top of that, I do look around sometimes, and I'm just like seeing who's out there, but I don't know. I mean,
You get any energy from the
when I'm
crowd?
probably do, but if I'm being honest, I usually do try to focus on communicating with the judges as much as possible.
That's what I was. That's what I was
I
thinking.
like.
That you're so focused on
I
the
just
judges.
want to.
That's where you're going.
Like, I want them to I want to bring them into my world. Like, I want to feel like there's like an energy exchange, a
Yeah.
genuine one. And whether it's like eye contact or body language, or,
Mhm.
the way that
Yeah,
I
you
wave.
want them to see the greatness. You're like, give me some good grades here today, right? You got, pump
I
that up.
totally, totally. Yeah. So that, I mean, but I do feel energy from the crowd sometimes, I mean, it depends on the show. I mean, obviously the big shows, the Olympia and the
Mhm.
Arnold. I have to say the Olympia is pretty crazy. The
Mhm.
first 2 years I competed, they let everyone do their full routine on stage.
Mhm.
And I've never been top 10 at the Olympia. That's going to change this year. But I remember.
I have that question here.
Okay.
What is your goal for the Olympia? I have it here, and it's circled, by the way. So, okay,
Like,
but we'll get into that in a
okay.
second.
Okay. So the first 2 years when I did the Olympia, I got to do my routine at finals.
Mhm.
And I just remember when I went to turn around and I could see the big screen that,
Mhm.
because they had like multiple rows of people in the audience,
Mhm.
and just so many people. It was like the craziest like movie star experience
Mhm.
of my life. And I just remember when I turn around doing my routine and I see myself on the big screen while
Mhm.
I'm doing it, and I was like, whoa,
Whoa, yeah.
crazy. And like I turn around, the stage is huge. I'm like, is this real life? And
Mhm.
that was pretty crazy. I was feeling pretty on top of the world when I got to do that. So yes, I being in the top 10 is really special.
Sure, absolutely. So let's get into the goals for 2022. What are you thinking? Where do you want to go with the Olympia? What is that? You want to break top 10, top 5? What do you want
I
to do?
I I I'm confident that I could be in the top 5.
I
I
think so.
I feel like.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do. I know it seems crazy because I haven't come close to that yet, but I feel really confident because I have, done my research and I've studied, and
Mhm.
I feel really confident that, okay, I know what to
Right.
do mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm there. I have to work for it. And yeah, I think I could be in the top 5. I do.
I like that. So everybody who's listening in here, you've heard Wendy Fortino say that she's top 5, not top 10, top 5. And we're gonna
I
hold.
will be. I haven't yet.
Yes, we're going to hold her to this throughout the year until she gets
Awesome.
on stage with that. So
Okay.
you'll be getting texts from me. Where are you? What are you doing? Let's go. One more rep. It's
Oh,
all good.
awesome.
Let's do this, right? It's all good.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
You
That'll
like
help.
that?
That'll
Yes.
help.
Yeah. Listen, you have to have people in your corner,
I agree. You
that
do.
are
Yeah.
your biggest fans. And sure your husband is your biggest fan. He could be your biggest critic too, right? I mean, you know, when you're married like this and you're in this, industry, he could be your biggest fan. He could be your biggest critic. How does that play out being married?
He's been my coach since day one.
Right.
He's amazing. I'm a very self-driven person, but I have my faults. There hasn't really been any difficult times. I hate to upset anybody or whatever, but people talk about,
That's awesome.
Hard and relationships are hard and like working with so seeing each other all the time. And I'm like, I mean, I've been in bad relationships before, so I know that if you're not with the right person, I totally get it. But he makes everything so easy. We have really complementing energies. I'm very energetic and social, and I just, I could like sit down and like talk to anybody, right? He is very like mellow, like even keel. He doesn't have like ones and tens with his energy, with his expressiveness, which can sometimes frustrate you, but I want it because like, especially when we have clients or with me, when your emotions are high and you're stressed out, he's like here always. He doesn't, when he's making big decisions, he's here. When he's like stressed out, I mean, you would never know he's stressed out because he just has this ability to.
He has that even keel about him.
Totally, and you need that.
He can look at the situation and he can be even, and he can make decisions doing that, and that's an important attribute to have. And if he can
not reactionary, and he's really able to keep his cool and make decisions consistently. He's extremely consistent with the way he makes decisions. So it's kind of like I think because my trust level is so high, it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you can have that, because that's important, because you can play off of each other and you're in each other's corners, and you're feeding each other.
Totally. Hey, can we take like a 1 minute break?
Of course we can.
Okay, I'll be right back. Okay.
We're going to take a 1 minute break. Hold on 1 second. Go ahead, go. So we're sitting here, we're talking with Wendy Fortino. We're going to take a 1 minute break. She's coming back, and she is an IFBB figure pro, and we've had her on before. We always have a great conversation with Wendy, and it's been too long since our last conversation, and we made a commitment. We're going to, do it more often, where we're going to have her on the show. We're going to try to get her husband on the show, both of them together or individually, and so that we can discuss with both of them, because they definitely have a synergy when they're working together, and they have a business where they're helping where they're helping individuals out and who want to go on stage. And I think that's great. We're almost up at our 50 minutes, so we have a little bit more to go. I do have several more questions that I do want to ask Wendy, and I think that they're interesting, and I think that we'll be able to get them going. And here's back. It's all good. I was going to stop it, then I said, no, I can always talk, I can always talk.
I heard you like, you had the floor, you were like going for it.
I was just going for it. So we're coming up on 50 minutes in a little bit, but I have some more questions. You mentioned in the beginning, you're going to continue to do this as long as you're improving. What does that look like for you, improving?
Improving, well, I'm always looking for a little bit more thickness and density in my muscles. So like one thing about me is I'm 5 feet tall, and when I'm on a small stage close to the judges, you could see all the details in my muscles. Like when I turn around to the back, like I have all of my muscles, you can really see the details. But one thing I realize is when I'm on a big stage, a lot of my details get muted out, because when you're small and you have tiny bubbles, it's like hard to see on a big stage. And that's not an excuse. It's just the way it is. It's just, I mean, we all have our, give and take. Right? We all have to figure out. And so with the taller girls, they have like just larger muscle definition bellies, right? And that really, I'm not gonna say it hurt me, but by building my muscles thicker and just denser and having deeper looking muscles, when I get on those bigger stages, I think that will they help me a lot, so I'm going to work a lot on the thickness of my muscle,
Mhm.
especially my back, get everything just to kind of pop out a little bit more.
Mhm.
And that's not just by getting leaner. You think that, oh, if you just lose body fat, the
Right.
muscle itself, like if it has more pop in it, has more blood in it, it's just
Yep.
more developed. You train
Sure.
harder and heavier, with more intensity. You can get those muscles just to pop out more in addition to getting leaner. And then, you fill it out, and when they're
Mhm.
full and they're lean, and developed, it just really gives that 3D look. It's hard to see in video and pictures, but when you're in
Mhm.
person, sometimes you see photos and you're like, how did she place ahead of her?
Mhm.
But if you're in person, you see like the girl that edged everyone out has just like that 3D, the thing that you can't see through a photo.
Absolutely. What else do you want to improve on this year? Anything else are you thinking about?
Overall, a little bit more muscle,
Mhm.
I think.
How about personally? Is there anything you want to improve on personally
Oh, there's
outside the
a lot.
stage? Oh boy, I always ask these questions, Wendy. I always ask the tough questions sometimes.
There's a lot. So, my husband and I, we have been, coaching for a long
Mhm.
time, and we love it. We're working on some things behind the scenes, like some projects behind the scenes. I don't like to say, I don't like to like talk about something until it's like near finished, because I don't want to be one of those people who like makes an announcement.
Italians have a tendency to do that. They don't like to talk about it until it's there, right?
But
Because
who has a tendency to do that?
those Italian Americans, they have a tendency to do
Maybe.
that, right? Yeah. It's like they're gonna put the Maloika on it or something like that.
Like if it's not in queue to launch, I don't want to be like, and then I'm going to do this, and then I do this. So,
Right.
but we are working on some things, and we're looking to evolve in our own unique way,
Mhm.
in our business. And so like,
Awesome.
and I think we should always like have those, kind of recreating moments in our lives. When you've been doing the same thing for so long, you have to
Mhm.
keep improving yourself and keep getting better, and
Mhm.
find ways to take your skill and your experience and put it into some different ways. And I know that's so vague, and that probably doesn't help at
I
all.
get it. You're gonna change your business and watch for the future and we'll talk about it at some time in the
Yeah,
future on the
exactly.
podcast. So
We're going to talk
that's
about it.
great.
This is
Awesome.
being like the maintaining a platform and trying to kill it here in this sport of bodybuilding is one of my, is definitely a strategy for me, because by staying just by pushing myself and staying relevant and like,
Mhm.
just being in the scene, it helps me
Mhm.
to kind of hang on to like whatever platform I hope I can have,
Mhm.
because I want to do things for people. I want to have an
Mhm.
impact on people. And, it's my kind of avenue to do that right now.
You have to serve humankind, that's for sure.
Yeah.
If you have a passion for something, whatever that is, I have the same thing. Even though I'm 60 years old, I still have the same passion to serve as I did when I first got out of
Forever.
school. I think
I
it's
can
more today.
tell.
What's that?
Your passion and your zest is like next level.
Thank you.
I want it to rub off on me. I don't know how you do it all.
You know what? My wife had said to me, "Are you going to retire soon? What are you doing?" And I'm saying, you know what? I think I'm just getting started.
Awesome.
I think I'm just getting started, Wendy, and I'm
Yeah.
60 years old, and I'm just getting started. I don't feel 60. I don't think like a 60-year-old. There's a picture of my father behind me when he was about 60 years old, and we look totally, totally
Isn't
different.
that wild?
Yeah, it's just totally different, and I think I'm just getting started. You're
Yeah.
interviewing me now, right? And I'm just getting started, and
Yeah.
and and I've always had this zest for life. I've always wanted to be in the limelight to serve. I always wanted to
You
be
do. Yeah.
whatever that is, whether it's in my professional career, personal career, political career. I always wanted to be that person, and it was to serve. It wasn't like an ego type of a thing,
Yeah.
and
I
I
could
have things,
tell.
I have things that are going on right now, Wendy, that we'll talk on another podcast. you know, um,
I would love to.
that I have going on professionally and personally that I'm just ready to again, I'm just ready to explode. So I don't know. Plus I have a 13-year-old who plays hockey.
Yeah, I know. That's
And he got accepted into a very nice high school that he wanted to get accepted into. And I don't know, it's gonna,
yeah.
I'm paying for college right now. That's all I got to say. We're, both my wife and I are paying for college right now. So,
Yeah.
um, I just keep going. I just wake up in the morning and I'm
They
just,
don't have any like hockey, college hockey at all? Like college doesn't have hockey?
colleges do have hockey.
Oh.
My boy can play a little bit and he needs to train. He's been told he has some talent and who knows where that's going to take him.
Well, maybe you guys will save up and then he'll be so good at hockey and he'll get a full ride scholarship and you guys can go and take some vacations.
That would be great, Wendy. We were told he's got some talent and he's coming into his own. He's going to be 14 in 5 days and he works out on his own. He does some weightlifting.
Is he a freshman in high school?
He's going to be a freshman, not this year, next
Wow.
year. He's going to be a freshman in high school. I did find him. They have a sports performance lab, Wendy, at the hockey rink, and they're working out with weights. And he's of that age where he's been doing some body weight exercises and so forth. He's strong. I walked in. This is a couple of months ago. And he was in the bathroom in front of the mirror, and he was posing. By the way,
that's awesome.
He was posing, and he was talking about Arnold, and he was talking about building muscle and all of that. He's talking
that's
about
awesome.
talking about 6-pack abs and stuff like that. So it was interesting, and he always rips me. Dad, you're old. You don't have 6-pack abs anymore. I said, I got a 2-pack. I'm trying to get a 6-pack again. So I said, if I get a 6-pack before you, I said, you have no money, so we can't even make a bet. Be that as it may. Okay. Is there anything, we're almost done here. We have a few minutes left. Is there anything you want to impart? Any pearls of wisdom, any clinical pearls that you want to give our audience today?
I think with a new year, we all want to, think of some big goal that we just are going to achieve and we put it down on paper, but, and this is going to sound maybe cheesy, but rather than doing that, I think that, maybe put down that big goal that maybe you want, but section it off into tiny little pieces. And, that's kind of how I, without realizing, I guess retrospectively, when I look at every step of the way for me, everything that I've ever done has been so such a little bit at a time, and I was blessed to start, for example, what I'm doing right now in a period, in a generation where there was no social media craze, I didn't have to, I was unencumbered by the social media stuff when I first started. So that helped me. But in this day and age, I think it's hard for us to do that, to section off our goals into small pieces, because we all get so caught up in looking at what everyone else is doing and wanting it yesterday. And so that's probably the best thing that I could say is that, when you see something that looks outrageous and somebody says they, did it in 2.2 seconds and you think, oh my God, I need to be doing that too. There's no way that, a really big achievement, a really awesome goal has ever been met without a lot of work and a lot of going on behind the scenes that you don't see in those quick, 15-second reels or whatever it is that you see on social media.
If those 15-second reels are not real life.
No.
And I agree with you. When I set a goal, there's got to be the smaller goals, the micro goals in order to get there. You can't do something without working at it every single day. So what do you want to do? Do you want to be a better public speaker?
Yeah.
You can do X, Y, and Z. Here's a book, here's a course. You want to go on stage? Well, I got to start somewhere. I've worked out somewhere along the line. I got to get somebody like you and your husband to take a look at my physique. What do I need to do? And here's the diet plan. Here's the goal. You want to become a better person. Here's what you need to do every single day. You want to be a better father, a better mother, a better spouse, whatever that is, a better aunt. It could be anything.
anything.
You have to break it down, and you have to make sure that it's every single day,
Yeah.
because nothing in life comes like this. My overnight success only took me 20 years is right, is what we
Yeah.
say. The overnight
And
success.
I think we get impatient with a lot of things. Like even, I wanted to, improve my skin. A few years ago, I was like determined to improve my skin. So I bought, tools like for my face and,
Mhm.
like learned all about it, and I educated myself, and I still got frustrated because I wanted to see improvements
Mhm.
like that,
Mhm.
and even with like a project like that, just by being consistent. I know it seems silly but that was like a project. Like I wanted to,
Right.
I wanted to like work on, growing my hair longer and thicker. I wanted to work on
Right.
my skin. I know these seem like appearance things, but I'm just saying like they were projects that I took on, like wanted to improve these things, and I had to be consistent. And even something like that just makes you feel better about yourself. I
Sure.
think people get frustrated and they like bang their head against the wall and they want some instant gratification in every single thing that we do. And anytime that you see something that you want, like it's going to take work, it's going to take time and effort, and it doesn't matter
That's
what it is.
that's right.
It will take time. It's going to take small little incremental goals.
That's right. And that's perfect. And that's perfect. And we're teaching our son that right now, so that he understands how he has to set the goals. Wendy, it's
Awesome.
always great talking to you. It's
You
always great to have you on our podcast. It was a great podcast. Want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to contact you in a week or two. I'm going to see if we can get you and your husband on, or your
Yeah.
husband on alone, and then maybe a little bit later on to have your husband on. We have to do our podcast a little bit sooner than, over a year or 18
I
months.
know.
Yeah, because we always have this great conversation, and we drop truth bombs and we drop pearls, and this is going to be another great podcast that people are going to listen to. So I want to thank everybody for coming in, listening to us today. Wendy, thank you very much again for
Thank
coming
you.
on. Always awesome to see you. Until then, live your best life, motivate, educate, inspire, serve humankind, have a better world. Thank you very much for everybody for listening.